What a delight it is to see each one of you here on a Friday morning at 8 a.m. That's pretty incredible to get a group of people to think about life in our community and its rich diversity. And I appreciate you being here willing to do that this morning. Kate Schlegel is not able to be with us. She is our Education and Program Director, and she would be the one typically introducing our speaker, but I am pleased to be able to do that this morning in her absence. I do want to remind you that there is some information that Dr. Saleh has brought. It's on the table up here. He'd be happy to share that with you, and you can pick that up after the program is over. I also want to introduce Dr. Ezzedine, who is going to be our, say that please, Dr. Edina, and she will be coordinating our International Family Night Out in April. It's going to be focusing on the Islamic community here in Dayton. And
actually, it's going to be on the Arabic community.
The Arabic community.
Which is mostly non-Islam.
Okay, wonderful. So she's going to be coordinating that. We haven't got a date exactly set in April yet, but it'll be a Thursday night in April. So stay tuned for that, and we appreciate your good leadership in that area. Also, the library has done a great job of putting together a little flyer that's available when you came in to kind of lift up some information and good resources about the Islamic community. And I hope you'll pay attention to that and take one of those with you when you go. Well, it is my privilege then this morning to welcome to our forum, our November forum, Dr. Saleh, who is a dentist in Tip City. He's also the Director of Public Relations for the Islamic Society of Greater Dayton. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Saleh. I'm sure he has lots of information to share with us as he introduces us to the Islamic community of Greater Dayton. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's cold for a Friday morning. You got me up out of bed early. First of all, thank you to the Senate of Washington Diversity Council for having this. Thank you all for coming and having it here at the library. Today, just a general, quick information about Islam, about the Muslim community, and just to share thoughts, ideas, and hopefully maybe take some questions and answers later. We'll start out with a little story. We'll talk about the basics of Islam. We'll talk about prayer, fasting. We'll talk about the Quran. We'll talk about the prophets, including Jesus and Prophet Muhammad, and we'll talk maybe about a little bit about the gospel and the Torah. Before I start, I just want to get a quick story of King David and the Quran. There's a story of King David. And the story begins with King David, obviously being a king, sitting in his chambers. And while he's in his chamber, we also believe he's a prophet, by the way. So while he's in his chamber, two people instantly presented themselves in front of him. So he's kind of got shocked. How did they get past the guards? How did they get here so quick? What's going on? Before he could even ask them anything, one of them started to speak, one of the two people. And he said, King David, this man that's with me has 99 sheep. He's 99, and I have but one single sheep. I have one. He wants to take my one sheep. Tell this man to leave my one sheep alone. So King David responded and said, leave this man's single sheep alone. Instantly, the two men disappeared. Realizing this was a test from God, realizing the calamity of the mistake he had just made, he instantly asked for forgiveness. I'm going to come back to the end of this story, at the end of this talk today, and we'll talk a little bit about that story. But think about that, and we'll come back to that. So Islam. In the face of constant demonizing these days, Islam is not what it appears to be. Now, we don't have TV shows in prime time. We don't have charismatic personalities filling stadiums speaking about Islam. But all we do see are a lot of the negative images, TV, radio. We can't go anywhere without hearing about violent protests, backward regimes, terrorism, whatever that might be. But in spite of all that, as a Muslim, I know what the truth is about my religion. It is a beautiful religion, spiritual tradition, emphasizing love, trust in God, a spirit of charity towards all things. So how about we start off with a question. How many people here believe in God? Pretty good sign. How many people believe in Allah? Okay, just a couple of hands. We got some work to do this morning. Okay, so the basics of Islam. Many of you have already heard a lot of the basics of Islam. But Islam generally is very simple. It's two things. It's a belief in something, and it's taking action on those beliefs. Now, the basic beliefs are to believe in one God, to believe in the angels, to believe in the books, the divine books, to believe in the prophets, to believe in the day of judgment, and to believe that there is a divine will. So, believe in God, first thing. If you are English speaking, you believe in God. How many people speak Spanish? How many people know about Dios? How many people believe in Dios? How many people worship Dios? You guys are a little scared to put your hands up this morning? Dios? Dios just means God in Spanish. If you were German, you would say Gott. If you're Greek, you would say Theos. If you were a Christian living in Egypt or Iraq or Syria, and you opened up a Bible, you would open up a Bible in Arabic, and the word for God in Arabic is Allah. Exactly. However, if you watch TV or Hollywood, they try to make it into this odd terrestrial being only for Muslims. But any Arab-speaking Christian knows the word for God is Allah. So those are the six basic beliefs, and based on those beliefs, there are actions. And the 5 basic actions are prayer, there is fasting during the month of Ramadan, there's giving charity, and doing a pilgrimage to Mecca once in your lifetime if you're able to. And this is based on the tradition of Abraham at the time of sacrificing his son, kind of a reenactment of that time. And that's based on the initial saying of Islam, which is to believe that there is only one God and Prophet Muhammad was his last and final messenger. There's so much I can talk today about Islam, and if you're here to learn about Islam in 1 hour, I think you're mistaken. But one of the main things that we can gain from the 5 basic pillars of Islam is that if you look at them, they are all sort of a kind of sacrifice in a way. For example, prayer. Prayer we're taking away from our time during the day. Prayer literally takes a matter of minutes from beginning to end, and it's quick. I mean, you just recite some verses from the Quran, and you can supplicate God during the prayer. So we believe that the Quran is words from God. He says, God, as you read this book, this text, you can imagine God literally speaking to you. When we supplicate, if you were to ask, God, help my wife during her delivery, or help me in my exam, that is a supplication. That is man talking to God. So during prayer is a conversation, is a dialogue, where we're standing in prayer, we are reciting from the Quran, which God is speaking to us, and then we supplicate to God. And that is us talking to God. And this conversation occurs 5 times a day. So in essence, that is the relationship